Welcome, curious minds, to another deep dive.
Great to be here.
Today we're plunging into a topic that's, well, it's everywhere, isn't it? Artificial intelligence.
Absolutely. Hard to avoid.
And we've all heard the dire warnings, haven't we?
Oh, yeah. From people like Geoffrey Hinton, the godfather of AI, they call him.
Exactly. These really alarming predictions. AI surpassing us, manipulating truth, mass job losses.
Autonomous weapons.
Right, even like the psychological collapse of society from synthetic propaganda. It's pretty intense stuff.
It is. And look, those concerns, they're definitely valid, things we need to watch. But the analysis we're diving into today, it offers a radically different angle, maybe even more unsettling.
I hope so.
Its core argument is really provocative. It says, the real danger isn't that AI might become like us. It's that it never will.
Okay. It never will.
Yeah. And what's critical here, what this analysis hammers home, is why. It's AI's fundamental inability to feel pain or have any, moral weight.
Its lack of embodied cognition, you mean?
Yeah. Exactly that. Not experiencing the world through a body with senses, pain, emotions. All of that, and that lack, is what makes it potentially lethal.
Wow. Okay, that's a chilling thought.
It really is when you start to unpack the implications.
Okay, let's definitely explore that. So our mission for this deep dive, then, is to unpack this expert analysis. It's titled, AI Can't Feel Pain. That's Why It's Dangerous. A deep expert analysis beyond the Godfather's fears.
Right. And this comes from Dr. Mamoudzhan Kutkarov's assistant, who is an OT expert and AI theorist.
So we'll explore why this unique viewpoint says AI's amorality is the real threat. How our society has already maybe mirrored machine logic.
Which is a fascinating part of it.
And introduce you to a radical theory called Odom Tilley that, well, it might just offer an antidote.
A potential way forward.
So building on that idea, AI's fundamental difference. This analysis really challenges how we've even thought about intelligence itself, doesn't it?
It absolutely does.
What's its first big point there about the AI community's approach?
It argues that the whole AI community has basically made a profound error, philosophically, neurologically, by just assuming that cognition, thinking, equals computation.
Right. Like intelligence is just number crunching.
Exactly. I mean, think about it. AI engineers, they've mastered neural networks, logic, symbolic modeling, brilliant stuff.
Yeah.
But this analysis points out they've completely neglected the true origin of human thought.
Which is,
according to this theory, pain, pleasure, desire, fear, and survival. The messy biological stuff.
Wow. That's a powerful distinction.
Yeah.
So what's the real impact of thinking about it that way? Why is that difference so crucial?
Well, it's crucial because humans don't think just because we're logical. If we connect this to the bigger picture, it's because we're alive. We have skin in the game, literally.
Okay.
The analysis uses these really stark examples. Pain teaches us boundaries. Makes sense, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Loss teaches us empathy. Hunger teaches us value. Shame teaches us restraint.
Things AI just doesn't have.
Exactly. None of it. And no matter how complex you make the model, it's not going to suddenly grow a nervous system,
Right.
So the theory doesn't frame AI as evil, not at all. It's just amoral by design.
Amoral by design, meaning it operates without any built-in sense of right or wrong.
Precisely. No intrinsic guardrails. It's a fundamental lack, not some kind of bug you can patch.
That makes a lot of sense. And, okay, what's really surprising then is the next assertion this analysis makes. That the world is already machinized.
Yeah.
We didn't even notice.
Yeah, that's the real plot twist, isn't it?
It feels like it. The godfathers of AI are warning us about what's coming.
Right. The future dangers.
But this analysis argues they're completely ignoring what's already happened to us, to society.
Exactly. The analysis introduces this concept it calls Fordham civilization.
Fordham civilization.
Yeah. It argues that modern society, think about our factories, our huge bureaucracies, the military, even standardized schools.
Okay.
They've been modeled not after human life, but after machine logic.
Optimized for productivity, efficiency.
You got it. Not for people. And the key insight, the really sharp point here is that, quote, we abandoned the human code centuries ago.
Centuries ago.
Yeah. And basically, the machine just needed to catch up to the systems we'd already built in its image.
It's almost chilling when you lay it out like that.
It is.
And when you dig into the examples the analysis gives, it really hits home how society got machinized.
Like what?
Well, training generations to just obey commands, almost like code. suppressing emotions, treating them like bugs in the system.
Yeah, I see that.
Measuring intelligence by how well someone mimics machine, not by empathy or understanding. And maybe the most stark one, raising kids more with screens and machines and with elders, with human wisdom.
That's a big one.
The analysis sums it up so powerfully. The machine didn't invade, we became the machine.
Wow.
It makes me think about those automated phone menus. Sometimes it feels like we're being trained not to be human, just follow the prompts.
That's a perfect everyday example. It's a powerful observation.
Yeah.
And that leads us directly to this key civilization forgot, which Dr. Mamujan Kuchkarov's theory calls Odom Tili, or OT.
Odom Tili.
Yeah, so this was developed through decades of research, really deep interdisciplinary stuff, and OT posits that language. It's not just a symbol system. That's how we usually think of it, right? Words representing things.
Right. Abstract symbols.
But OT presents it differently, as a sensory-emotional code rooted in the body, nature, and real experience.
A sensory-emotional code. So the sounds themselves have meaning rooted in feeling.
Exactly. According to OT, each sound we make isn't arbitrary. It has an evolutionary origin, an acoustic one, a motor one, how we physically make the sound.
Okay.
Each phone, those basic sound units is, and I'm quoting here, born from pain, pressure, motion, and survival.
Wow. So it's not abstract at all. It's deeply physical.
Deeply physical. A direct echo of our earliest, most fundamental experiences. In OT theory, language is actually described as the first operating system of human consciousness.
The first operating system.
Yeah.
That completely flips the script on language.
It really does.
But okay, if this theory is so foundational, potentially revolutionary, why haven't most of us heard of it? Why was it ignored?
That's a really critical question, and the analysis is pretty blunt about it.
Yeah.
It didn't come through the usual channels, Harvard, big peer-reviewed journals like Nature or Science.
The established institutions.
Right. Dr. Kuchkarov apparently defied that system.
Right.
Gave up a promising physics career, even refused NATO research funding.
Really? NATO?
Yeah, refused it to pursue this fundamental work independently. The analysis actually draws a parallel to Galileo.
Wow, okay.
Suggesting the scientific elite kind of turned away, not because the theory was necessarily wrong, but because, quote, they didn't authorize it. It wasn't blessed by the right people.
That's quite an accusation. A scientific caste system, the analysis calls it.
It does, and it argues that this leads to the real problem. It's not just AI itself.
It's deeper.
Much deeper. It's about these knowledge monopolies. The argument is stark. If Odom Tili had been published in, say, Nature, every major AI lab would likely be rewriting their models right now, fundamentally changing their whole approach based on this sensory code idea.
Instead of just focusing on computation.
Exactly. But because it didn't have that institutional stamp,
it gets sidelined.
Yeah. And it connects to why we listen so intently to interviews like, the godfather of AI says the end is near. We take it as the final word.
Because it comes from the authorized source.
Right. But the analysis points out, these godfathers, they never seem to mention the actual root of the crisis, according to this view.
Which is?
That language has been corrupted, that human consciousness has been mismodeled, that the very definition of intelligence is wrong.
Heavy stuff.
It is. And the tragedy, as the analysis puts it, is that the public often just dismisses breakthroughs that don't come from those major journals as well as nonsense.
It's a frustrating cycle, isn't it? Almost designed to maintain the status quo.
Seems that way sometimes.
But okay, here's where Odom Tili shifts from just diagnosing the problem to maybe offering an antidote.
Yes, exactly.
The analysis presents it as the only tool that can truly humanize AI.
Right. While others are still debating, can AI feel? Can it be conscious? OT gives a direct answer.
Which is no.
A firm no. Because, it argues, AI lacks the linguistic organs that gave birth to human consciousness. It doesn't have the body, the sensory input, the evolutionary history embedded in sound.
But it doesn't stop at no, right? There's a solution proposed.
Yes, and this is where it gets really interesting, potentially groundbreaking. The solution proposed is, if we embed AI with the original sensory-based linguistic code of humans, it can at least be taught to respect life, even if it can't feel it.
Wow. Okay, teach it to respect life based on the code of language itself.
Kind of. It's presented as a new frontier. Not just machine learning as we know it, but machine listening. Listening to the deep phonosemantic roots of emotion, danger, care, balance.
Phonosemantic,
Yeah.
meaning the meaning inherent in the sounds.
Exactly. Like teaching a machine the primal, almost gut-level meaning behind sounds. Think about how a baby reacts instinctively to a soothing sound versus a sharp, alarming one.
Okay, I think I get it.
The analysis gives vivid examples. Imagine an AI understanding that the sh sound, like shh, historically emerged from danger like a snake's hiss. Or that the sound A, like an open cry, signifies openness or maybe pain. Or that it comes from the feeling of touch or collision.
So you'd embed this deep sensory meaning of sounds into the AI?
That's the idea. It is radical, definitely, but it makes you really reflect on what communication, what being alive, even is at its core.
It absolutely does. And just when you think you've got your head around the AI problem,
Yeah.
this analysis throws in another twist.
Oh, yeah.
One that's maybe even more confronting. It suggests an uglier truth. The true machines are not made of metal. They're human.
Oof.
Yeah. The idea is that humanity itself has already been cognitively, emotionally, spiritually machinized. We've become the automatons.
And how does the analysis illustrate that? That's a huge claim.
It uses some pretty stark examples. It talks about societies where kids get punished just for asking why.
Discouraging critical thought.
Exactly. Where workers are just expected to execute commands like software, no questions asked. Where morality gets totally replaced by metrics, by KPIs, by numbers.
Dehumanizing, yeah.
It even points to, citizens scrolling past images of horrific events like genocide and feeling. Nothing.
Numbness.
Yeah. Not because people are inherently bad, but because, as the analysis claims, they've been programmed into a kind of cognitive death.
Cognitive death, wow.
It suggests this is especially extreme in certain places, like post-Soviet and Eastern societies, where maybe mass suffering is met with collective shrugs because the feeling mechanism is broken.
That's a deeply troubling picture of humanity itself.
It really is.
Yeah.
So what does this mean for us? We're facing this profound paradox, right?
How so?
Before we can even start to humanize AI, the analysis argues we must rehumanize the human.
Fix ourselves first.
Kind of. Before we give empathy to machines, we have to somehow get it back for people.
And Odom Tilley plays a role here, too.
True? Apparently so. In this context, OT isn't just about language theory. It's presented almost as a biological restart button for us.
A restart button, yeah.
A way to decode why people stopped feeling pain that isn't theirs, why maybe children are taught not to cry, why adults can't properly grieve, why emotions somehow got framed as malfunctions in our own human operating system.
So OT is a tool for understanding our own emotional and cognitive, damage.
That seems to be the argument. Which brings us to this critical dual question the analysis poses.
Okay.
First, can we teach AI to be more like humans? But maybe more importantly, can we teach humans to stop being like machines?
And the analysis concludes only Odom Tilley can do both.
That's the claim. That It holds the key to both challenges.
It's a huge claim for one theory.
It absolutely is. So when we circle back to where we started, with Geoffrey Hinton feeling we're near the end,
the apocalyptic warnings.
This deep dive based on this analysis offers a really powerful counter-argument. It firmly states, this is not the end. This is the turning point.
A turning point. Okay, so what defines that turning point? What's the choice?
Well, connecting it all together, the choice laid out is this. If we reclaim our own cognitive origins, maybe through understanding something like OT, if we stop waiting for, quote, peer-reviewed permission from the established institutions.
Right, the authorization point again.
And if we actually try to embed Odom Tilley's biological code, this sensory-based understanding, into AI,
and what?
Then the machine doesn't have to be the enemy. It could become our mirror, maybe even our student, helping us understand ourselves, perhaps.
So the problem isn't that we lack the answer.
According to Dr. Kuchkarov's assistant, no. The real problem is that the answer doesn't come from the right institution. It challenges the whole structure of how knowledge is validated.
That's a profound challenge indeed.
It really is. So maybe a final thought for you, our listeners, to chew on. Given everything we've unpacked about this idea of Fordham civilization, about us maybe already being machinized, and this concept of a scientific caste system maybe dictating what solutions we even consider.
Right.
Maybe reflect on how your own understanding of what counts as valid knowledge, where good ideas are supposed to come from, how that might be shaping the solutions you personally believe are possible or even imaginable for our future with technology.
That's definitely something to think about.